Welcome back to Man vs. Meeple, the show where we talk about everything board game related. Today we're bringing you a Kickstarter preview for an upcoming game called Dice Throne from Mind Bottling Games.
Mind Bottling Games,
I think this is a brand new company and probably a brand new designer.
Yeah, well, and it's really nice looking. I remember when we got this prototype, we were both really, really impressed with the artwork. And then, we opened it up, got to play it.
Yeah.
Equally impressed.
Yeah, this is basically a slugfest, right?
Exactly.
You have a character in front of you and a deck that is tailored just to you, and you have a whole bunch of abilities on this cool player mat, right? So you have a barbarian, a pyromancer, a shadow thief, and a moon elf.
Yeah, and they all play quite a bit differently.
They play very differently, right?
Yeah.
And there's two other classes which we haven't got to play,
Right.
and that's the paladin and the monk. Which weren't sent to us. But however, let's go through the game. So, as I said, you have a player board, and on this player board, you basically have 7 different attacks that are all powered by the dice that you roll, right? And then you have a deck of cards, which is tailored just to you. You have tokens, again, that are tailored to your character, because each of these characters does their own unique abilities, like poison or concussion or stun or whatever
Right.
it may be. And then you have a set of 5 dice, right? Which you're going to be rolling and activating through the course of the game.
I mean, the basic premise of the game in terms of the rolling, hate to invoke the word Yahtzee, but you're building different sets of combinations of dice through a Yahtzee-style rolling mechanism.
Right.
And it's different per character.
Right.
And there's, information on how many different sides have different icons on your character. So you're really trying to build what you can of your basic attacks. The cool aspect, in my opinion, is where the cards come into play.
Yeah.
And you're playing cards, upgrading some of these abilities. So it really gives you this flavor of developing your own character as well.
That's right. Each player will start off the game with 50 hit points and no CP, which are card points, which you'll be able to use to power the cards that you draw. Each player will start with 3 cards in their hand. And a basic turn consists of 8 different phases. And that may sound like a lot, but they go pretty quickly.
It's pretty simple.
The very first thing that happens is the upkeep, and that's when if you have any conditions or effects on you, those will take effect, like a poison or a stun or any of those things will take effect at that time.
Right.
The next thing that happens is you get 1 CP.
Right. Always get 1 CP towards the beginning of each turn.
And then you get to draw a card. You take 1 card off the top of your deck, draw it in your hand, look at it, and then you go into the main phase. And what's cool about this is that this little player card here is all color-coded. So it helps you remember, well, what can I do during this time? Well, during the main phase, you get to either play main phase cards, which are blue, or play any upgrades, which are typically gray. Now, there are green upgrades too, but those are just your defensive abilities, which you can upgrade as well. To upgrade, you simply pay the CP cost of whatever it says on the card itself. You also have the capability during your turn of discarding any number of cards for 1 CP each, which allows you to kind of get cards out into the table.
You have to remember, too, you don't want to run through all your cards too quickly.
That's very true. What Dave was talking about is really cool, though, is that a lot of these gray cards are upgrade cards, which will enhance abilities that you have. So they're going to go over top of the abilities that you have and give you like a basic attack level 2, a basic attack level 3, which means the icons that you're rolling do typically more damage or have a greater effect to them when you use those.
Yeah,
dice.
or it makes it easier to achieve some of the similar types of effects that the earlier version of the attack had.
Right. Phase 5 is the roll phase. This is the Yahtzee phase. Very much like King of Tokyo. You're going to pick up all 5 of your dice. You're going to roll them, set some aside, roll them again, set some aside, and then you have to keep your final roll. And then you're going to pick those dice and do just one ability from your...
You can power one of your abilities.
Yeah, on your player board, and you take that action. Now, this is where the game has a lot of the flavor because a lot of these different classes do different things with their dice. My guy here that I have in front of me is the barbarian, and he does a lot of attack, can really damage people hard, and can stun them, but also has the ability to heal. You played with the pyromancer, and this guy's tricky.
The pyromancer is interesting because you can store up basically fire energy, if you will. And then there are certain abilities that allow you to do standard basic damage and then extra damage for every token that you want to get rid of. So you can really build up a massive attack. That combustion attack, I think, is the one that came back to haunt on Meteorite, which
was inflicting stun every turn, which means you would just take a couple turns in a row. It was awful.
Exactly. Now, it's a hard one to get, but, luck of the dice, I was getting it sometimes.
Yeah. Once you're done with the roll phase, typically the defensive player who you're attacking gets a defensive roll phase.
Right.
And those will key off any of the green places on their board. They're going to roll an X number of dice that's dictated by their defense ability. And they're going to negate any of those hits that are coming to them, or even possibly heal some of those.
Yeah, they play a little differently.
I mean, they're all different. Yeah.
They play a little differently, but this basically gives an opportunity for both people to roll in any sort of combat.
Right.
So, which is nice. You know, usually it's all, I did this, that's happening to you.
Right.
In this one, you're able to negate some of the damage in some cases. And in some cases, some of the special abilities with some of those defensive abilities is really, really interesting.
Absolutely. After that, there's a secondary main phase, which the player can then play any upgrades or any other main action phase. And a lot of the cards come into play and do different things depending upon when you play them. You want to maybe play them after you roll your dice, maybe before you roll your dice. That's why there's 2 main action phases. And then the discard phase. They're allowed to discard any cards beyond 5, and then it goes to the next player. That's basically the game. I mean, it's very quick to play. You play till one player has 0 hit points, and that triggers the end of the game.
Yeah, and we have this set up with 4 players here, which is possible. They do have rules for free-for-all and that sort of thing.
Yeah.
But it is really, you know, we've played it most as a 2-player head-to-head game, and it really is a really satisfying game that way.
It's a super fun experience.
Yeah.
I mean, especially learning these different abilities and these different skills that they all have. You had the pleasure of doing the Pyromancer, which has 5 different unique tokens that he can kind of manipulate. I was playing the Barbarian, which doesn't have as many, but he's
more straightforward, but he's
just pure damage.
Very powerful.
We also play with the Moon Elf, who's really cool, can like ensnare people and do some targeted attack. And there's a whole bunch of different in the back of the rule book, and there's some here that we didn't even play with because they come with the Paladin and the Monk, but there's a whole list of different status effects that you can use on other players.
Yeah, I have to say this is along the lines of those types of games, the Yahtzees, the Kings of Tokyo. This is a great new entry into that category for sure. The artwork too, I can't say enough about. For me personally, is a really nice look.
Super cartoony, very colorful game, right?
Yeah.
I mean, the colors just pop out. So anyway, guys, go check that out. That should be hitting Kickstarter right now.
Yeah.
Hopefully those 2 other classes will be in there too.
I'm sure they will be.
We have no idea, but we hope they are. I love playing a Paladin in just about any game that I play in. It is from Mind Bottling Games. Make sure you guys make comments below in this YouTube channel. Subscribe to us, please. Like us on Facebook.
Follow us on Twitter, everything.
And we'll catch you guys next time.
Bye-bye.